iRacing right now.
He's got traction, he's got rid of the outside of both of them! Maloney!
Oh, he's taken Anderson! Anderson's up top here!
Oh my god! Oh! Big crash! Oh my goodness, half the field's gonna get rolled!
This is very close. These guys are going to want to make their way through the field very quickly.
Oh, here we go!
Oh no! That's massive! This is it! This is over! I can't believe this! Oh my god!
God, what?
Hello everyone and welcome to SimSpeed TV this Thursday night. What a race we've got coming up. What a bunch of races we've got coming up because it's round 4 of the Oceanic Dirt Sim Events Big Block Modified Madness series presented by Racecraft Simulations. We are in Lakeland, Florida at the old USA International Speedway for round 4 of this series. 40 green flag laps, 70 total in the feature tonight. This is quite the interesting track in terms of dirt racing. Originally an asphalt oval, brought onto iRacing as one of its default tracks. The track doesn't exist in real life anymore, and so iRacing covered it in clay and created a dirt version of the circuit for their dirt racing cars. And now we get to see how the big block modifieds handle it. My name is Reese Gardner. Joining me in the commentary box this time round is Nick Skariev. Nick, your first time commentating this series, you're in for a treat because the racing that these things produce is just wild.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Reese. Yeah, I've been catching the broadcast a few times, and bit of a missing piece of myself, I think, maybe once the sprint cars was over. So it was really cool to see these the big block modified. Such a crazy looking car and just such an amazing sound that these big blocks make as well. So yeah, I'm in for a real treat by the looks of it.
Indeed. We're just waiting for all of the drivers to file into the server and then we'll be able to tick over into qualifying. We're going to take a brief look though at the championship standings because Joel Berkeley has been on an absolute charge to start off the season. He leads the championship by a fair margin there with James Edens just behind him. The teammates there at Slick Sim Sports, Joel Berkeley winning the first 3 features of the season running, but Harry Stewart and Mitchell Clark with Josh Harm, Lewis Hewitt behind them making up the top 6. All of those guys can certainly get themselves in with a shot of leading this championship. This championship, of course, does give out passing points. Every time you pass a car, you get a point. So it means that the championship is remaining very competitive all throughout the field.
Yeah, it's great seeing some familiar names here from seasons past. Even all the way down to 12th there with Cameron Dance. Very competitive in the sprint cars and really showing it to a lot of these dirt experts.
Indeed, Cam actually getting on the podium in the feature last time out at Cedar Lake Speedway, so that's what's allowed him to vault up the standings somewhat. But Joel Berkeley's going to have a pretty tough job here because everyone's going to be wanting to take the first non-Berkeley win of the season in the feature tonight. So, can Harry Stewart do it? Can James Edens take over his teammate? What's going to happen here at USA International Speedway? We're going to be finding out very shortly. But this track, as you can see, very wide open, very fast. It's 1.2 kilometers long, and it's a bit atypical in terms of dirt tracks. There's very few, if any, dirt ovals in real life that are as big and wide as this place is, and so it really produces some balls to the wall racing as these guys chuck it in super sideways into these corners.
Yeah, and just seeing how these big block modifiers as well, having that real heavy angle there. So obviously set up there for those left-hand turns there. The aero and the suspension setup's fantastic. It's such a sight to see these. It almost looks like they're firing a garden shed around the circuit here.
Yeah, the big block modified, of course. aesthetically challenged, depending on who you ask, but it's not about how the cars look, it's about how they race, and the racing is certainly fantastic in these things. Brenton Hobson we're taking a look at the moment in the number 88. He has taken a couple of good results so far this season. He's looking to improve on his luck because he was taken out of a couple of features and a few heats as well of the opening rounds in some very unlucky fashion. So Hobbo looking to improve his standing in this series. As we see the times file in for the first time, Zach Fellon currently on top, 21.8 seconds, the pace being set at the moment. We still have yet to have any of our major championship players set lap times, though. But Bailey Clive here demonstrating the side-by-side racing that you're going to be seeing tonight as the track gets worked in. There is so much space side to side for the cars to get alongside their rival and get a move done. Also means that there's quite a lot of potential for a slide job, and you've got to be very careful of the wall on the outside there.
Yeah, really seeing, being Florida, obviously a very flat state normally, but the track here really flat there. So just seeing some of the feedback from the cars really digging it to the inside. I'm sure that the track is going to change as it wears in over tonight here, Reese.
Yeah, it's definitely going to change. We'll probably see the line move up more towards the outside in these corners, but you have a look at the amount of steering input required to get one of these things around. You got to try and keep the car as straight as you can, but that said, with the approach to these turns, you've really got to fire it in sideways on entry. Try and get it as straight as possible in the middle of the corner so you can maximize the traction on the exit.
Yeah, and looking at some of these paints as well, it's everyone really putting it on here tonight, and it's great to see Hobson do catch a lot of his streams as well, including here at the big block. So hoping to see a really good result from him here, Reese.
Yes, indeed. Brenton Hobson looking for a bit more redemption after some pretty stellar performances at Cedar Lake last round. Well, the majority of drivers have set times, and I think we're still waiting on a couple to file in before the session ticks over into qualifying. It's a bit different here in the dirt racing scene. You don't get much time to set your qualifying time. Only 2 laps in a 3-minute session. That's going to define how you start in your heats. The field, of course, getting divided up into their groups as we decide the feature grid here tonight. The heats are going to be 8 laps in length, and we're going to be looking for a double B main of 10 laps each to sort out our consolations. And of course, the 40 lap A main, the final of the feature. It's set to 70 laps max in sim because Oceanic Dirt Sim events using the manual lap tracking software to organize how things go. And of course, it looks like next session has been advanced forward. But in the feature, as the laps continue under caution, they're not going to be officially counted for the race distance, but if we get up to 70 laps traversed in the sim, then there's going to be a green-white checker to finish off the event. We are in qualifying, though, and we're going to start seeing drivers come out onto the circuit. The One Performance guys, Ben McSweeney, Bailey Clive, Ryan Gorton as well, all out on circuit. Adam Barnard too, who we saw put on a great performance at Cedar Lake. But we're going to wait and see for the first times to come in pretty soon. Hayden Vickers is going to be one of the first here to set a lap time, and he's going to have to be careful here that he doesn't mess up his exit onto the start-finish straight, because he's going to have another lap with which to set the time. That's a 23.2 from Hayden Vickers. That is not what he would have wanted. Blake Walsh, though, on his return to the series after sitting out the round at Cedar Lake thanks to an incident at Weed Sport, setting it briefly at the top time, but He's pipped by Gorton, Gosley, Edens, Boyd. Ryan Gorton has gone even faster. Mitchell Clark then to pole as well, a 22.1. Zachary Fellon turning in just a little bit too early there on his lap. That has massively compromised him.
Yeah, we've seen a few drivers here, unfortunately, just half spinning it through. Bit of a tricky lap to get a bit of a tricky track to get a fast lap here. We're just looking here at Lewis Hewitt here, putting himself right there in the mid pack at the moment. Mitchell Clark still with the fastest lap there at the moment.
Yeah, looks like Hewitt's first lap time didn't count, so he's gone for the run-up on that lap as James Rice crosses the line, a 22.5 for him. That's a fair way down the order. Lewis Hewitt crosses the line, it's a 22.115 for him, and that gives him provisional pole for the time being. Brenton Hobson, a 22.2. That's very close there, puts himself inside the top 10. What about his Synergy Sim Racing teammate, Jaden Russell, making his way around the track? The number 27 puts on a great show usually. Let's see what he can do.
Yeah, no one unfortunately getting there into the 21s at the moment. We've still got about 30 seconds left here, so I think that might be qualifying almost for the most part done here. Lewis Hewitt still on top there. Mark Lundstrom and Aaron Kelly putting what looks to be identical times there. I think they're all separated by thousandths of a second here. Just seeing Joel Berkeley still off the pace there at the moment, so unregistering. He
hasn't set a lap yet. So we're going to take a look and see what Berkeley does here. It's going to be short by a second. I don't think he's going to be able to get the lap in. No, he's not. Oh, that's a big shame. So Joel Berkeley's going to have to work his way up through the heats and consolations here tonight. But he knows what it's like to win in this series, so wouldn't be surprised if he puts on one of his characteristic charges. The championship leader compromised at the start of the night. Well then, that is qualifying done, and the first heat is going to get ready to go. It's Hewitt and Harm on the front row. Slick Sim Sports doing very well there. Trent Gosley and Jaden Russell on row 2 with Tilly and Masters just behind them. Kane Della, Richie McLeod and Darcy Wilson make up the 9-car field, and it looks like we're going to be having 4 heats tonight.
Yeah, so the first of 4 heats, so it'd be great to see a few of these heat races come through here. I'm assuming that the rules are going to be all pretty similar to how it is with the sprint cars.
Yes, indeed. Well, there's going to be 2 formation laps here, and then the drivers will take over control of their field, pulling away off the grid here at USA, and the pressure is going to be on Lewis Hewitt, and a couple of drivers having issues getting going there. Josh Harm, I think, just kissing the wall coming off the starting grid. These cars are very hard to handle when they're pacing. Tends to veer side to side a bit if you get the steering inputs wrong. So once they actually get up to speed, it's going to be a little better, but it's pretty tense here, actually piloting one of these things around a formation lap.
Yeah, you're seeing a few of these cars here darting a little bit around, but pretty hard to get past Hewitt. We have seen him in some previous seasons just being so strong, so I really think he's going to be the man to beat. I think one more lap we've still got behind the pace truck. Indeed,
one more lap. What we got to remember as well, past winners here at USA, Joel Berkeley won the last feature here back in the 360 Sprint Car Power Series. It's a bit of a different kettle of fish here in the big block modifieds. Takes a bit of a different driving style to achieve glory in this series. But Mr. Berkeley, when he eventually gets ready to race, is going to try his best to keep that record up. See if he can win at USA again. The eyes are on Lewis Hewitt, though, at the front of the field as he prepares to get going. The pace truck's going to come into the pits, and it's up to Hewitt as to when he goes. And it looks like going just past the restart zone, and Josh Harm trying to stay with him, but to the inside tries Trent Gosley. He's a bit too straight, though, on entry, and that's allowed Jaden Russell to get alongside him on the exit just about. Gosley having to stay narrow as they go halfway around the first lap. Hewitt and Harm pushing each other very hard up at the front of the field, and Hewitt running a bit wider out of the first turn. Josh Harm taking a bit of a narrower line, and take care on entry, guys. You've really got to try and back it in here. Russell tried again on Gosley, but it looks like he's got his hands full with Zach Masters and Clayton Tilley. There we go to the lead. Josh Harm trying the slide job there on Lewis Hewitt. They are going to run side by side across the line. Doesn't look like that was enough for Harm.
Yeah, Harm trying to take advantage here of the early track, the track situation here at the moment. But we can just see here number 4 Trent Gosley trying to stick with these two here at the front, so it could be a three-way battle here for the lead.
And a bit of contact just behind them. It looked like that was Tilley and Masters coming together, and Masters a bit crossed up on the exit. He's going to continue, though. Jaden Russell is safe there in the 4th place transfer spot. Reminder that the top 4 in each heat transfer straight through to the feature. So Russell, I think, is pretty safe, but Harm and Hewitt here at the front, they don't want to get in each other's way too much and allow Trent Gosley a chance to get in on this battle. Coming around to start lap 5, it's going to be 4 laps to go for these guys, and looks like Gosley just creeping up onto the back of Harm. He's running the groove a little more. He's starting to gain a bit of momentum.
Yeah, you can see Gosley really just trying to buy his time here, just sitting back, not wanting to push too hard in the back of Josh Harm. So nice and safe here in the transfer spot here, but there we go. Josh Harm again trying it down the inside here of Hewitt.
And ended up getting backed into Gosley as well, but that allows Josh Harm to get alongside Hewitt, and he's going to go for the lead there into the final turn. Hewitt's going to go for the over-under, though, on the exit. This battle's going to continue between the teammates, and now Gosley is under some pressure from Jaden Russell. As there to the inside goes Lewis Hewitt. Once again, Josh Harm running a bit wide there on the exit. And through into the last couple turns, Hewitt having to back out of it. He was almost going to get into the inside wall, so that's allowed Harm to get away. And now Gosley is going to see an opportunity here on the white flag lap. Hewitt goes all the way to the inside, almost cleans up his teammate in the middle of the corner, but Gosley taking advantage of that cross up there and through into second place. But for how long will Lewis Hewitt be able to come back at him? He will, and Josh Harm makes it a win here in Heat 1. Trent Gosley wins the traction battle versus Lewis Hewitt and takes second place. And it's Hewitt third and Russell in fourth. That is your first heat run and done. Unfortunately, Tilley, McLeod, Della, Masters, and Darcy Wilson are going to have to work their way through the consolations. In fact, Darcy Wilson did not even take the grid, so that's going to be an interesting night there for the 05. Hopefully we see him. But, Nick, now it's time to go through our Heat 2 grid.
Yeah, what an exciting first race here. And you can just see that that groove coming to show here. But got the grid here. Our results of Josh Harm, Trent Gosley, Lewis Hewitt, Jaden Russell. So getting through to that main.
Indeed, and it is time for the Heat 2 grid. It's Mitchell Clark in the 00 that starts in first. Ryan Gorton joins him on the first row. James Edens and Paul Bryan just behind them, with Taylor, Barnard, Hardigan, Walton and Fellon rounding out the 9 cars here.
See them all just lining up here behind the pace truck. All pretty anxious to get going. There's a bit of action there in that first heat, so they can... I think they're all just trying to shuffle themselves into place, but we are missing a driver out there by it seems there, Reese.
Yeah, hearing Ryan Gorton is missing from the field, so no, that's no good there. Daniel Hardigan and Josh Walton getting connected as they came off the starting grid. That's going to have to reshuffle the starting order ever so slightly, with Gorton, of course, not taking to the grid. It's looking a little confusing here for these guys, with James Edens down there in the third place starting position. Looks like he's managed to work himself out, and everyone, I think, just just testing out how the cars respond to that intense throttle application as they come off the start. You really got to be right on that when the green flag flies. You don't want a car that lurches immediately to the left or right as you get on the throttle.
Yeah, those big blocks really are a lot of horsepower and a lot of low down torque there, but they'll be using the really high end of the rev range here as they fly around, so just sorting themselves out here. I think only one more lap to go now.
Yes, indeed. It's going to be green flag at the end of this one, and Mitchell Clark will have all the pressure on him. Will Paul Bryan be able to take it to him, take the fight to Mitchell Clark in his Man Up Motorsport number 42? In comes the pace truck then. Field under control of Mitchell Clark, and Heat 2 is away, and that's a great start there from Clark. And Bryan managing to get the jump on James Edens as well, but there's contact further back. Adam Barnard almost got turned there by Cam Taylor, and big melee at the back as we see Josh Walton taking advantage of all that. Daniel Hardigan getting into the wall, and he has been shuffled all the way back to the back of the grid and gives Zachary Fellon a big old tap too. Ryan Gorton is out on track. He's managed to make it into this race, but it looks like he has no sign of getting towards the front as it is on for the lead here. Paul Bryan fending off James Edens.
Yeah, Gordon almost 10 seconds back by the look of it, as well as Daniel Hardigan right at the back of the pack. Not something that we see too often here, but you can see this real battle for this consolation spot here between Walton, Taylor and Bernard.
Yeah, indeed. All of these drivers fighting for that transfer spot. Walton currently holding it. Ryan Gorton has been black flagged by race control, so I don't think he was allowed to go out onto the circuit as Walton ran very deep in 3 and 4 there. That has given the run to Cam Taylor. Now coming into turn 1, transfer spot gained for the time being, and oh no, contact between the two of them. They immediately swap positions, and Taylor losing 2 for 1 in that one corner. Now it's Adam Barnard on the inside trying to get it done. Zachary Fellon almost getting into the back of him, and Taylor just trying to find a piece of racetrack to use. Look at the run from Taylor though. They're almost going to go 3 wide here into turn 1. Taylor has to pull out of that one, and now big sideways from Josh Walton. He's completely crossed himself up on the exit. This is going to allow Barnard another shot. Yeah,
Zachary Fellon, a real big winner in all these 3 battling it out, has turned from a 3-car battle into a 5, so could be anyone's spot now for that transfer. We've only got a couple of laps left here remaining. Still 81, Josh Walton with the upper hand.
For now, but have a look at the run from Zachary Fellon on the inside here in the number 49. Didn't go for it into the final turn, but overshooting once again with that aggressive entry. Gets a tap from Josh Walton on the exit too. That's going to allow Walton through on the inside into turn 1, but oh my goodness, Walton nearly cleaned up the pit exit wall there. Oh, that was so close there for Josh. He's had to shuffle himself back there as it's now Fellon versus Barnard for the final spot. Daniel Hardigan on the inside bumps Cam Taylor out of the way, takes Walton with him as well. Very aggressive driving there from Daniel Hardigan as it is white flag, and Mitchell Clark isn't under any threat for the lead. Edens and Bryan still running second and third, so all eyes are on this for the transfer spot here on the final lap. Adam Barnard, he hinted at going for it there on the final lap as Hardigan has been spun around on the back straight. It looks like he is going to hold on for it. It was Clark, Edens and Bryan, your podium up ahead, but Fellon just defending from Adam Barnard there for the transfer spot. Lucky.
Yeah, what a drive there from Zachary Fellon, coming right from the back of the field there. Very unfortunate for Hardigan getting it back into contention and just understeering there on that last corner, which unfortunately led to an accident.
Yes, indeed. Well, We immediately move through into Heat 3. We barely get any time to catch our breath here on SimSpeed TV. It's Max Lumsden and Harry Stewart who are going to be leading this one away, with Bailey Clive and Bob King on row 2, Daniel Boyd, Blake Walsh, Cameron Dance, and Hayden Vickers. 8 cars in this particular heat, and it's also going to be 8 cars for Heat 4 as well. So Lumsden and Stewart, they've shown shades of dominance in these big block modifieds. They haven't been quite able to match Joel Berkeley and his ability to work his way through the field, but they certainly have what it takes to run at the front, and I reckon any one of these guys could take this victory. And Blake Walsh will be looking for a bit of redemption. Of course, he had to sit out around thanks to a driving standards violation, and he's going to have to, he's going to want to get some points on the board here and preserve his championship fight. It's going to be tough for him, though, starting from 6th place.
Yeah, definitely a vast skill and talent here in this group, with Cameron Dance with his road win earlier on today, as well as Bob King, really talented in dirt track as well. So it's pretty cool names out there to see tonight.
Indeed, and I'll be looking for Harry Stewart to set the timing screens alight as well. Him versus Lumsden off the front row is certainly going to be something to watch. You're seeing a slick line already starting to form there on the entry into turn 1. The drivers are going to have to be careful of that. If they enter the corner a bit too narrow, that could send the rear end swinging out a bit too much and kill all of your momentum through the corner. So we can expect the drivers to run a little bit higher as the night goes on. And as the sun continues to set, it's currently 7:38 p.m. in sim time. Who knows, we might see the lights start to come on at the very end of the night, depending on how many cautions we get. But to the present for now, Max Lumsden leads them away here. A good start and a pretty even one too. Harry Stewart managed to get off to a great start there as, I saw Hayden Vickers getting into the wall there. Max Lumsden pushes up the track and oh my goodness, Hayden Vickers has been sent up and over into the wall. That is his heat over. Max Lumsden still holding on to the lead here from Harry Stewart, and it's very tight for the top 4.
Oh, and just a bit of contact there. I think that was between Lumsden and Stewart there, so a lot of elbows out here. Bailey Clive there, unfortunately, cutting the corner a little bit too hard there. That's pushed him just behind Bob King, who's got himself up in the 3rd.
Yeah, Bailey Clive nearly sent himself airborne there, as you can see Harry Stewart using the groove there to try and keep momentum up through the corner. Max Lumsden running a little bit narrower. You see how tight they go on the entry into turn 1. It's really just firing the car into the corner and hoping that it grips up in the middle so you can maximize the exit. Very close there. It's now 2x2 for the top 4 spots, and Bob King just holding on from Bailey Clive, and Max Lumsden just holding on there from Harry Stewart. There is the gap back from Bailey Clive, and that's how close Cameron Dance is to trying to get into a transfer spot. Dance, of course, getting a podium last round in the feature. He'll want a bit of an easy ride into that final race of the night, and looks like he's starting to catch them up too.
Yeah, that's right there. With him going too wide there, that has pulled Cam Dance. He still is around that half a second mark there, but as soon as there's a slight mistake from either one of these two, he'll be right onto it.
Well, just as you say that, Nick, there was a mistake from Bailey Clive, and that's allowed Cameron Dance to get alongside him. Clive going up the circuit to try and straight line the exit and protect from Cameron Dance, and he succeeded on that occasion. They start their 6th lap now. Lumsden and Stewart up the front, though, still on as ever. I can't believe how close they're getting down these straights and into these incredibly fast corners. There's hints of Harry Stewart just giving Max Lumsden a tap, but he's just managing to keep the car outside that margin. Lap 7 then, penultimate lap. Let's see what Stewart can do. He tried to force his way up the inside there. He's almost up to the B pillar on exit, but there's no chance of him putting a move into that turn for now. Cameron Dance still trying to get into that transfer spot. But Bailey Clive has rediscovered his mojo as the white flag flies. He's on the back now of Bob King. Could hint at taking third. King pushes up the track. Lumsden pushes up the track as well. Stewart has almost got a run in here for the heat win. And Cameron Dance, he sees 2 cars ahead of him, and this could make all the difference. Big lunge there from Bob King to try and keep them both behind, and it looks like it's worked. But Cameron Dance just ahead of Bailey Clive, and oh my goodness, it's so close. Who was it at the end? Dance just made it into the transfer spot.
Yeah, I think that was Dance by a wheel there. So really getting into the side there of Bailey Clive. So great work there by Cam Dance just by a wheel.
Goodness me, that was an incredible result there. Just 1/1000th of a second between Cameron Dance and Bailey Clive at the end of it. And according to our overlays timing, they actually crossed the line at the same time. You have a look at the gap for the front as well. Just under a 10th between Max Lumsden and Harry Stewart, but they're all through into the feature. Time then for the 4th and final heat of the night. Aaron Kelly and Brenton Hobson lead this one away, with Norman and McSweeney on the second row, Barry and Rice 5th and 6th, John Schultz and the championship leader Joel Berkeley starting last. Let's see if he can work his way through this field.
Yeah, as we saw in qualifying, Berkeley not making it easy for himself there, but as we've seen in some of the previous rounds, has such strong pace there, so he'll be charging through the field, as you can imagine here in this Heat 4.
Well, Aaron Kelly, certainly familiar with visiting the winner's circle as well in Oceanic Dirt Sim events, but he's going to have quite the charge from behind. Brenton Hobson, Nathan Norman and Josh Barry, the 2 teammates there at SM Sim Sport, which is the team owned by Oceanic Dirt Sim Events administrator Brady Baldwin, who is currently in race control and making sure that the penalties are dished out if required. But for Brenton Hobson, he's going to have to be very wary of what Aaron Kelly does here on the start. We've seen some nice even starts from the front row, but there's every chance that Aaron Kelly could take Hobbo by surprise here and just jet away with the lead. Joel Berkeley, of course, starting from the back as well. He's going to be a bit compromised into the first turn, I'd imagine, with all of those cars up ahead of him. But they form up, and the pace truck will re-enter the pits. Let's see when Aaron Kelly decides to go here. They enter the restart zone and they are away, and Brenton Hobson has managed to stay with Aaron Kelly there on that start. Kelly is ahead into turn 1. Joel Berkeley already making moves, has made up 2 positions already, coming through turn 1, looking for a third there in the form of Josh Barry, wasting no time as, oh my goodness, Ben McSweeney got into the wall there and got up onto his rear wheels. He's lost a spot there to Josh Barry, and it looks like Joel Berkeley getting on through already. Man, the championship leader is wasting no time here, but he's got to be careful there, getting into the One Performance Racing driver. Oh my goodness, look at this. What a charge Joel Berkeley is on, Nick, making up yet another position there on Josh Barry, and he's made the slider work. He's advancing forward.
Yeah, he's almost taking a position. He's almost taken a position every corner here, but he is now about half a second or so here behind Nathan Norman there. So Nathan Norman pretty safe there at the moment, but you can see that gap is going to close between these two. You can see Berkeley's driving style really chucking it in deep here. You can see as he clips the grass there while Norman takes that really wide line. So Berkeley really making it work for himself.
And the question is, what does Berkeley do from here? There's no threat from behind. The top 4 are actually gapping the rest of the field at the moment, but does Berkeley want to sit behind and just secure this transfer spot, or does he want to try and go for a podium or for the win? He did hint at it there, getting at the inside of Nathan Norman into the turn, but not working out for him as Josh Barry has been spun at turn 1. And looks like that was contact with Ben McSweeney that did that. For the top three, though, it is well and truly on as we see John Schultz fighting with James Rice there at the back of the field. Brenton Hobson going for the move down the inside of turn one on Aaron Kelly. Not going to work for him, though. He was on that lower grip part of the racetrack. And now they're starting to face more pressure from Nathan Norman. It looks like Joel Berkeley firing it in. He's still trying to stay with this top four at the moment.
Yeah, and you can see Berkeley really trying to favour that inside line here. So setting it up there on this part of the track, whether that's going to be the grippiest part here, but you can see the top three of Kelly, Hobson and Norman all just keeping it pretty safe here at the moment, not really trying to line up against each other. You'll know that Norman will be seeing Berkeley there in his rearview mirrors.
And Ben McSweeney has been black flagged for that contact with Josh Barry getting flung up and Joel Berkeley getting into the wall on the back straight. Oh no, I think he's under some threat here because through goes Ben McSweeney. Joel Berkeley wasn't able to get out of the wall. He's out of the transfer spot now, and he's lost yet another spot to James Rice, getting in the wall again. This is not going well for Joel Berkeley. He has caught the wall there on the final lap and losing out briefly on that transfer spot with the black flag coming in for Ben McSweeney. There's every chance that oh no, it hasn't worked out. Rice has actually taken that fourth place transfer spot there as we see the results. My goodness, what a bunch of heats to get the night off to this particular start. We're going to be jumping right into the first B main of the night. And Berkeley is going to be making an appearance in the second one there. So, Clayton Tilley and Bailey Clive on the front row of this one. McLeod and Boyd on row 2. Kane Della and Blake Walsh on row 3. Zach Masters, Hayden Vickers and Darcy Wilson rounding out the field. Now, has Darcy Wilson taken to the grid this time? No, he has not. So, it's only 8 cars in this first B main.
Yes, so much action there. Calling it heat, I think that's quite apparent there. The heat was definitely on, and that's really unfortunate there for the championship leader Joel Berkeley there, just to crash out there, I think almost in the last corner of the last lap. So he'll be absolutely kicking himself with the bad luck that he's got. But as we move on, this big C main that we've got tonight.
Indeed. What we got to think about as well is we've got a random invert coming in for the feature grid, and Joel Berkeley might be counting on that one. The spinning wheel is going to be making a return here tonight. So we'll see if Berkeley gets an advantage from that, if anyone around him gets an advantage from that. The second formation lap starts, though, in the first B main of the night, and Clayton Tilley off the front row. He knows what it's like to start on the front row of a dirt race, or 12, I suppose. And it's going to be difficult for Bailey Clive as well to try and stay with him. He's got Richie McLeod and Daniel Boyd for company right behind him. They are going to be fighting hard for that lead. Let's see when Clayton Tilley decides to go then, as the pace truck is in. A good start from Clayton Tilley. He has gotten the jump there on Bailey Clive, and Richie McLeod trying to go for the inside as big cross up there from Blake Walsh. He holds it round the outside though and protects his position. Just 2 positions separating him from the back of the field as Boyd and McLeod briefly got into each other on the exit of turn 1. Clayton Tilley though, it seems, has this race under control for the time being.
Yeah, seeing everyone spread out here a little bit, and these top 2 there of Tilley and Clive just pulling away from the rest of them, as we're seeing Daniel Boyd there under a lot of pressure here from Richie McLeod. Richie McLeod trying to get that inside line and just trying to get underneath there of Daniel Boyd.
Yeah, and the red car just behind them, Kane Della, just outside the transfer spot. The top 4 from these races go through into the feature as well. So Mr. Della, teammate to Harry Stewart at United, looking for a way through here on Richie McLeod, and he might have just found it there, getting up the inside, down the back straight. He's going to have to try the slider again, but McLeod goes super hard into the turn. Della stuck on the inside there, just not able to get the momentum to pass it.
Yeah, we're seeing all kinds of lines there trying to make the most of this track there at the moment. Oh, and we're just seeing, I think that was Zach Masters there going really, really wide there. So he was gaining on those two. Not seeing too much behind them were Hayden Vickers and D Wilson. So a few people off the back here.
Yes, indeed. Top two are broken away. It's Tilly and Clive that are controlling this right now. But there is Della again, trying up the inside of Richie McLeod on the inside of turn 2. Can he get it done this time? Manages to get up onto the groove right when he needs to, and that might have been just enough there for Kane Della to try and secure the transfer spot for now. This is a 10-lapper, so they have a little bit of extra time to work themselves out. Richie McLeod round the outside of Kane Della, just avoided making heavy contact with each other there, but Della still staying just ahead. He maintains that 4th spot. And Daniel Boyd is going to be looking at his mirrors and thinking, oh no, when are they going to come up on me? McLeod just had to back out of turn 4 there as Della crept up the circuit, but Della is now ahead, and he can try and focus on working that outside line, try and get one up on Daniel Boyd, but crucially, as the transfer spot, the leaders are pushing each other incredibly hard right now. They are ages ahead of everyone else right now, and Clayton Tilley seems to have it worked out. Bailey Clive, though, he's right on his bumper through every single turn, which is awesome to see.
I think we might have just had a car go off there in the background anyways, but yeah, seeing such close racing there between Della and McLeod. So McLeod looking like he's just falling off the back there of these two. So yeah, I think he's going to struggle here to make that transfer spot.
Yeah, I think that's gone now for Richie McLeod, unless there's a mistake from Kane Della. He's rotated quite a bit on the inside to try and get the run on Daniel Boyd, but the static camera shows our leaders continuing to pressure each other into turns 3 and 4, and it is final lap then, white flag for Clayton Tilley. Can he maintain it from Bailey Clive? 4th though, Kane Della trying on Daniel Boyd. Got to take it easy as, oh my goodness, Bailey Clive up the inside of Clayton Tilley. He gets the inside wall. He's lost that chance there to go for victory. He was almost there, right at the final hurdle. Clayton Tilley taking victory, and just holding on for 3rd was Daniel Boyd there from Kane Della. Unfortunately, we're going to have to say goodbye to Richie McLeod, Zach Masters, Blake Walsh, and Hayden Vickers there. And I think Walsh was the car that was turned around in the background, Nick.
Yeah, very unfortunate there for Bailey Clive, just missing out on the win there, clipping that wall, but still through to the next race, and we'll be able to make it count next time around.
Certainly will. It's time for the second B main of the night. 9 cars going to line up for this one. It's Barnard and Berkeley off the front row, and Joel Berkeley will, I think, be much more comfortable with that front row start there. Josh Walton and John Schultz in second. Cam Taylor and Ben McSweeney on row 3, Daniel Hardigan and Josh Barry on the 4th row, and Ryan Gorton, the single car, on row 5 as they pull away.
So just seen him line up here, so you'd have to say Berkeley is definitely going to be the man to beat here. But it is going to be up to car 55 there to get them all underway. So I think it's Max Lumsden there in 1st place. Oh, sorry.
No, it's Adam Barnard.
Adam Barnard, sorry.
All good, man. And the number 155 there, but with the 55 on the side of his car. Of course, you can see a tiny little one there. Ah, yes. Our director just pointing that out to us, and wow, that was quite the practice start there from Joel Berkeley, making his intentions known to Adam Barnard, looking to go for the maximum exit he possibly can to start off this B main. Barnard versus Berkeley. We've seen hints of that before. At Cedar Lake, Adam Barnard was on fire, and really love watching him carve his way through the field. So it's going to be a tough one here in this B main. Another 10 lapper. Let's see if Joel Berkeley can pull off the pass and go for the win, try and improve his standing in the feature.
Such an awesome static camera shot there of yeah, just seeing them all group up together by their safety truck just about to pull off there.
And here we go, the start will be coordinated. Adam Barnard looking to go, but oh no, that's a complete mess up there. He actually got hit in the back by Josh Walton, and Joel Berkeley's been sent all the way to the back of the field with contact as well with Josh Barry. Well, Joel Berkeley's going to at least get some passing points in this one, but that is any hint of a B-main win gone. Adam Barnard now still in the lead. Josh Walton and John Schultz, the rest of your top three, and Cam Taylor holding on to the transfer spot. Daniel Hardigan and Ryan Gorton, meanwhile, fighting for P5 just behind them. This is intense.
Yeah, what an upset there. But Adam Barnard, with the gap now, looks to be about 5 or 7 tenths there for the rest of the field. So he's pretty safe here at the moment. We're seeing a battle there between Walton and Taylor.
We are indeed, but it's not all good news for Adam Barnard. He's been black flagged for that start, and contact between Cam Taylor and John Schultz. That sent Schultz up the circuit, and he could potentially lose a spot here to Ryan Gorton, as there's 3 wide just behind them. Joel Berkeley on the inside getting 2 for 1 there. Daniel Hardigan and Ben McSweeney. He's trying his best to advance up, but Adam Barnard, he's the way he's going, he's probably going to hold on for the win here, but I don't know if he's actually going to come away with it, as the number 77 there of Daniel Hardigan trying his best there versus Joel Berkeley. They actually got into each other on the exits of 1 and 2. Meanwhile, Cam Taylor trying to hold on there for third, which is effectively going to be second once the black flag. Adam Barnard is applied, and that's John Schultz up and over. We're thinking that might have been contact with Ben McSweeney as Joel Berkeley. No, sorry, not Joel Berkeley. Josh Barry trying to find his way through on Daniel Hardigan there.
Yeah, it does look like Berkeley's over a second back now from 4th place, but with that black flag, that might have put him in the back into the transfer spot there, Reese.
Yeah, I think it would have. Have a look at how deep Joel Berkeley is going there, going for the narrow entry and just gathering it up in the middle of the circuit through, between the 2 turns. Starting to creep up on the back of Adam Barnard now is Josh Walton, and you see the cars pushing ever higher up the circuit. They're going to be running the wall pretty soon. Let's see if this is going to be a move for the lead. It's not going to happen again this time. Cam Taylor, though, under a lot of pressure. We look back from Adam Barnard, and you see Ryan Gorton and Cam Taylor both fighting hard just behind them. And Josh Walton could go for the move here, pulls out and goes for it. Indeed, he does. But Adam Barnard just comes straight back at him. Very difficult to pull off a slide job around this place.
Yeah, you can just see that race for that 3rd and 4th position there is just heating up, almost changing every lap here. You can see Joel Berkeley just not close enough there to mix it in with these 2 that are both fighting for that 3rd position. Berkeley then again going right down the inside. Not as much grip there, so it seems to be favouring the cars running up on that high line there of Taylor and Gorton.
Yeah, it looks like it. Well, Josh Walton has secured the lead of this race from Adam Barnard, who has a black flag hanging over his head. Berkeley goes for one final manoeuvre there to try and get past Ryan Gorton. It hasn't worked out for him. Josh Walton is going to come across the line to win. Adam Barnard crosses the line in second, but that may very well change. Cam Taylor and Ryan Gorton, the rest of your top 4 across the line, and Joel Berkeley holding on there for 5th. And looks like they were the only cars to really get a proper finish out of that. We're going to wait. Adam Barnard demoted to P5, and that allows Joel Berkeley into the transfer spot. He is into the feature. But very unfortunate there for Adam Barnard. If he'd managed to not mess up the start, he wouldn't have gotten that penalty, and he would have been an absolute look-in for the feature. But now, our friend the spinny wheel joins us, and we're going to see just how many positions are inverted. It's going to be the top 14 that are inverted for the feature, and with a quick look at the feature grid, it looks like our pole man is going to be Zachary Fellon. Cameron Dance, unfortunately, just missing out there on grabbing pole position. It means that Josh Harm, Mitchell Clark, and Max Lumsden are going to be starting 14th, 13th, and 12th. Well, what a way to start off the feature here tonight. We have got 40 green flag laps coming up for you as the drivers get out in the warm-up session just for a few extra laps, test out their setups, test out their cars, test out the track as well, because look at how slick it is. We're going to be back very shortly here on Sim Speed TV. You're watching Oceanic Dirt Sim Events Big Block Modified Madness series presented by Racecraft Simulations.
This is fantastic. This is GT racing right now.
He's got traction. He's got everything outside of both of them. Maloney.
Oh, he's taken Anderson. Anderson's up to
Oh my God! Big crash. Oh my goodness, half the field's going to get rolled.
Second very close. These guys are want to make their way through the field very quickly. Oh, there we go. Oh no! That's massive! This is it! This is over! I can't believe this! Oh my God!
God, what?
You're watching the Big Block Modified Madness series from Oceanic Dirt Sim Events presented by Racecraft Simulations. We're at USA International Speedway for the 4th round of the season, and we are about to go for the feature. If you're just joining us, my name's Reese Gardner and Nick Skariev joining me in the commentary box. Nick, the heats and the consolations that we saw, they have produced some quite interesting racing. But one thing that I have noticed about this night at this track so far is it's very hard to actually complete a pass. It takes a few laps to do it.
Yeah, that's right. It's almost the technique of throwing it in early and running it out nice and wide, almost like a faux slide job to get it done there. We haven't seen too many people throw it so deep that they actually land themselves in front of the other car because the corners are quite open. It's almost they've got to keep relying on that momentum and get it themselves up alongside.
Yeah, exactly right. Well, what we're seeing at the moment is the field rearranging itself to account for the top 14 inversion, thanks to our friend the spinning wheel just a few minutes before. And that means that 14th place starter Zachary Fellon is going to start on pole here alongside Jaden Russell. It's going to be quite the interesting run that these guys are going to have. Josh Harm and Mitchell Clark starting way down in the midfield. They're going to have to work their way through. And Joel Berkeley starting dead last there in 24th. It's going to be a tough job for Berkeley, but we know that he's been able to work his way through the field in the past. He's going to get those passing points, and that will certainly help his championship lead that he already holds.
Yeah, you'd have to say that's easily the story of the night there. Joel Berkeley having so much bad luck there, but just scraping through in every race there. So he's where he's want to be. A little bit down the order there from first position, but he'll definitely be one to watch.
We certainly will. We're about to get a start here in the feature. Zach Fellon leads them away from pole position on the inside and beats Jaden Russell to the line. Into turn one though, Russell going for the inside as the field fans out, racing at USA, and there's already pile up in the back of the field. Berkeley has managed to work his way through all of that, but the yellow's already out, and it's Clayton Tilley who has found his way onto his roof.
Yeah, very unfortunate for Clayton Tilley. So back in the pits now. Hopefully we'll be able to get back out there. We'll catch a VRS replay here.
He got completely cleaned up by Cam Taylor coming into the first turn. We're going to get a look at it here. In they come, and yeah, Taylor just tagging Tilly on the rear. Wondering if there's going to be a penalty incoming, and there is. Cam Taylor has been given an end-of-line penalty for the next restart.
Yeah, Cam Taylor, I think, just missing his mark there a little bit. A bit unsure what he was thinking there, but penalty will be served there, and it'll bring a few of the others from the back there closer to the front.
Certainly will. Big thanks to Virtual Racing School coming on board as our new replay sponsor here on SimSpeed TV. Well, Cam Taylor is going to face a huge struggle now, getting it back up to the front. But as you can see, King, Bryan and Hewitt already there in 4th, 5th and 6th, working their way up through. James Edens and Harry Stewart holding on to positions in the top 10 as well. Brenton Hobson currently in 7th. It's going to be a tough ride for these guys. Berkeley managing to make up 4 positions there thanks to that pile-up at the rear of the field. He's now sitting in 20th place. We're going to get a restart fairly soon here.
Yeah, great work there as well by Bob King. He's had a bit of a quiet event that we've seen here at USA International Speedway, but he's really positioned quite well there in the 4th. Currently sitting here in 4th place, so might be able to see a bit more of a good result from him tonight.
We may very well do. Well, the lights are out on the pace truck. We're going to be getting a restart at the end of this lap. And once again, it's Zachary Fellon versus Jaden Russell on the front row. And I'm wondering if Russell is going to be wise to Fellon's start here. You see Bob King, Lewis Hewitt, and James Edens going up further to the top of the circuit, trying to get as straight a run as possible onto the start-finish straight. But Zachary Fellon has beaten them all to the punch, and oh, that's bad. Lewis Hewitt getting crossed up, and that's created a huge pile up in the middle of the field, right at the start-finish line. Joel Berkeley involved in that one as well. Oh my goodness, what a mess.
Yeah, seeing quite a few damaged cars here. I think that might have been...
Wondering how that happened. It looks to me like Hewitt and Paul Bryan actually came together there off the restart. Hewitt tried to recover, but just took everyone in the midfield with him there. Many cars involved in that one, and quite a few potential front runners. I think I saw Mitchell Clark's car involved in that too. He's just ahead of Hewitt there, and that is a very broken car for Lewis Hewitt. See what happened here from Joel Berkeley's perspective.
Yeah, you can see Hewitt there, going over the line through everyone. Joel Berkeley, very lucky to keep it all in one piece there. Having some pretty heavy contact there with Hewitt, so just can't seem to get a break this round here for Joel Berkeley.
Yeah, certainly not. And with James Edens running as well as he is, that might very well be a proper challenge for the championship lead. Lewis Hewitt is still running out there on circuit, but you can see that car is threatening to lurch at every opportunity. Wondering if he's going to get a mechanical black flag at some point. Lewis Hewitt did something similar at Cedar Lake. He was able to keep going despite a big hit with some wayward behavior in his car. And thanks to that back-to-back caution, restart is going to be single file for this restart. And I think good thing too, because that double file certainly contributed to that in some way.
Yeah, you can... all the drivers here pretty nervous and a bit jittery, so hopefully the single file will help get them away a little bit smoother there. We've got some pretty big names here up the front with Jaden Russell, Bob King, Brent Hobson. Quite a lot of big hitters here at the front. Really big winner in all this as well, Cameron Dance. So not forgetting he started almost at the back of this feature here, all the way right into that mid-pack. So he's having some really good luck here.
Yeah, Dance has made up 3 positions there in the opening skirmishes. Josh Harm, meanwhile, starting in 14th, has worked his way back up to 11th. So he's doing very well too as we get the restart going. It's another good start from Zachary Fellon, but in comes the field into turn 1.
Yeah, just seeing them all spread out here as well. There's a few people there down the inside. James Eden there taking a really narrow line there on the inside there of Brent Hobson. Brent Hobson running a little bit wide there. A few drivers running it really double wide there. Harry Stewart also running down the inside. Everyone running it right up into the wall there, Reese.
Yeah, very much so. With now Hobbo on the inside of James Eden's, going for the aggressive move on the inside, but Eden's running the groove there right up at the top of the circuit. He's gotten the run and the traction. See if his next target is indeed Bob King, as Zachary Fellon holds on to that lead. Oh, careful there from Aaron Kelly. Almost getting into the back of Hobson. He has got Harry Stewart for company on his inside, and Stewart's going to go for the move. Can he hold on to it, though? We'll have to wait and see, as Jaden Russell's now really coming under pressure there for second place. He's got Nathan Norman for company.
Yeah, we're just seeing Hobbo under so much attack there. We can see him shuffling down the order a little bit. Was as high as, I think, around 4th or 5th place at the moment. He's got Aaron Kelly there right on his back. Again, coming through, as we're just on board here with Jane Eden, looking across there at Norman there, at Nathan Norman.
Yes, indeed, and the slide job done, and that's going to allow James Edens to try and consolidate this position, but Bob King, despite the better exit, is not able to get it done there. And that's going to be the position consolidated for James Edens now, as Max Lumsden and Josh Harm together here for 9th and 10th place. Harmy moves up into 9th ever so briefly, but a slightly better exit there from Max Lumsden. They align astern, and they've got Trent Gosley and Cameron Dance for very big company. Just behind them, you see the number 9 of Joel Berkeley. He's worked his way up into 13th position. It's another heavy charge from the championship leader as James Edens goes to the inside of turn 1.
Yeah, we're still seeing Aaron Kelly really holding some good pace here, as well as Bob King. So Bob King getting shuffled down in a 5th there from James Eden.
And Edens is doing very well as Hobson gets the exit over Bob King, works his way up the inside out of turns 3 and 4. Very good move there from Hobbo. Oh, but Edens has gotten into Nathan Norman, and he went for a tumble up at the top of the circuit. That's going to be a caution, I think. He is stopped there. And now everyone backs off, and away we go. Now that was a slide job gone wrong there.
Yeah, we're just going to catch the VRS replay there. You can see, yeah, Nathan Norman just clipped right into the wall. He was already quite high up on the track there where they've made contact. So I'm sure the race director there will have a bit of a look at that. I don't think James Eden did anything wrong per se. Looked like it was just wrong place, wrong time there.
Well, it is in the rule book that that a botched slider is classed as a penalisable offence. So I'm not going to get too far ahead of myself, but I think we might see a penalty incoming for James Edens for being the car that brought out the caution there. Wait and see, though.
Yeah, just seeing the... Oh,
go on,
sorry,
Nick.
Reece. Oh, yeah, I was just going to say, just seeing all the field bunch up again here. So, yeah, 9 laps of 40, so still very early days yet. We're just looking down the line as well. So, Joel Berkeley still a little bit down the order there, sitting in 12th place.
Yeah, but at least that's another position up from where we checked in on him last. On the verge of getting into the top 10 as well is Joel. And since it's been a while since our last caution, we're going back to double file restart, or so I would imagine. There's a couple of drivers asking about it in sim. And we're hearing that there's going to be 29 laps to go at the restart, which... okay, so we're hearing that our lap counter up in the top left of the screen is slightly out. It's so there's going to be 29 to go when the drivers get their start. And it looks like we're not going for a double file restart here. The pace truck is about to come in and it is still single file running. So Zachary Fellon is going to get all of the advantage here as the truck pulls in. James Edens there in third has escaped the rapid race control for bringing out that caution. And the start is on. Bob King got checked up slightly, and that's going to allow Aaron Kelly through on the inside. But have a look down at the number 7 of Josh Harm. He got the inside wall in turns 1 and 2 and nearly flipped himself over. Mired back in the pack. He's been passed by Joel Berkeley, Cameron Dance, Trent Gosley, Harry Stewart, all of those guys. And now, have a look at Paul Brenton Hobson. He has got the enemies at the gate behind him, a veritable army of modified cars.
Yeah, still about that half-second gap there, so we're just seeing Harry Stewart there with Joel Berkeley right on his rear bumper, so he'll be looking right at the back there, seeing there's so much action where to look there at the moment, but Joel Berkeley favouring that inside line there. He won't be able to get it done there on Harry Stewart. Harry Stewart will be getting that momentum up there, but the mid-pack.
Big pile up. Paul Bryan, Daniel Boyd, Nathan Norman, Lewis Hewitt, Max Lumsden and Mitchell Clark all involved in a big incident on the start-finish straight. We'll go to our VRS replay and see how that all went down. I saw a hint of it there with Josh Harm getting a bit too sideways coming out of turns 1 and 2 and got into Josh Walton there. And from that point on, there was no controlling it. Hewitt got tagged there, you see, in the green and orange machine. Walton immediately off the circuit and to the pits. He knew that his night was done.
Yeah. Just hearing through race control here.
Oh, goodness me. That was a big hit there from Lewis Hewitt, and big damage to the roof on a lot of these cars as well with that kind of whack. And yeah, actually Jay Kennedy, our director, showing me on his end with his cursor. You see the B pillar there on the right of the screen. It's twisted out of shape. It should actually be a lot straighter than it is. So Hewitt has gotten away with quite a bit there. And seeing another retirement in the form of Clayton Tilley, who we saw have a difficult opening stint. He is out of this one as well in the number 51. So lots of championship points lost there.
Yes, so much action to speak of it. It's a bit difficult where to start here, but we've seen the top 4 here still holding on here. Hobbo getting back there into that 4th position above Bob King. So yeah, it seems like Zachary Fellon and Jaden Russell seem to be really clear. And if we get another single file start again, it is going to give the advantage back to Fellon again.
It definitely is. And Jaden Russell, I think, has done a great job of holding on to that 2nd place because, I mean, right behind him there, James Edens, a competitor in the iRacing World of Outlaws Sprint Car Championship, the World Championship Series. So he knows what it's like to compete at the very top level of sim racing. For a driver like Jaden Russell, it is quite the opponent to come up against. He does have a bit of company, though, because Brenton Hobson is right behind there in 4th and still holding on. And it seems that Bob King, Aaron Kelly and Harry Stewart are the brick wall that Joel Berkeley cannot break through. For the time being, we've got a start. Zachary Fellon gets away. James Edens almost getting a better run there on Jaden Russell. And Hobbo bouncing across the ruts in the track and the number 88 as he tries to advance forward into 3rd place. Jaden Russell, though, defending. And to the inside goes Edens, King and Berkeley. It's not going to work out too well for them, but it seems that James Edens has done just enough to ruffle the feathers of the Synergy Sim Racing duo of Jaden Russell and Brenton Hobson. He's right in there with them now and making life difficult as Bob King and Aaron Kelly side by side coming into 3 and 4.
Yeah, you just see how aggressive that inside line is there. Hobbo in the middle, almost 3 wide, in between himself and Aaron Kelly as well. So, big slide there from Bob King. I think he might have got a bit unstuck there by accident, and as well as Joel Berkeley there. So Joel Berkeley's going to take that position from Stewart and Bob King.
James Edens has worked his way up into second. He is now past Jaden Russell, and Russell's gotten into the wall. The front tyres have gotten wedged in the wall. He's managed to keep going though, so no caution for now. But Jaden Russell, after running so well at the front of the field, he is going to have a lot of work to do to try and get his way back up to the front. Joel Berkeley still gathering up those passing points up into 4th place and now challenging for 3rd there as Brendan Hobson still tries to hold it round the outside. What a run from Joel Berkeley once again, but it seems like it's become par for the course in this series to see Joel Berkeley advance through the field as there's great battling here back in the field. Bailey Clive and Josh Harm fighting for the last position in the top 10. Hello. That's
yeah,
Bob King.
Yeah, we've just had a caution flag thrown there. Bob King was looking really rough there for the last few laps. Might have either collected the wall or another car there, so looks like he's back underway. Not too much damage there to speak of. Car seems to be tracking not too bad there, but looks like we'll be back on another caution now.
Well, we're coming up to half race distance covered here, and Bob King running side by side with Trent Gosley into the first turn. Let's see if this was self-inflicted or if the number 4 had a hand in this. Looks like a bit of both. I mean, Gosley was ahead actually on the inside, but Bob King just trying to come down and straight line the exit. I don't think he quite knew Gosley was there, so that's what resulted in that contact and getting hurled up into the wall.
Yeah, I was going to say very lucky there for Bailey Clive as well, having Bob King slide across the front of him as well. Very lucky not to get taken out there. We see Lewis Hewitt back in the field again. He's had a pretty rough night, as you can imagine here. This is a replay.
Yeah, we're hearing that it was a retirement for Lewis Hewitt, and that's why he managed to get up onto the wall. And I think after that little bit of extra damage, that was too much. That was the straw that broke the camel's back. And so Hewitt is back into the pits, and I don't think we're going to be seeing any more of him tonight. That's a big shame, for sure. But Bob King has managed to get up to the back of the field again. He is with the number 79 of Daniel Boyd. Boyd driving for Iridium Simsport. It's going to be a challenging start for these guys coming off the back. They're going to be very wary of any pile-ups that may happen right in front of them, because, I mean, as this track's gotten slicker and slicker, we've noticed that there's just more wayward behaviour happening from the cars, especially on the restarts.
Yeah, and seeing a few of these cars there at the back as well, quite a few that are starting to become rather bent out of shape here as well, but all eyes are back on the front of the field again. So Phelan, Eden, Hobson and Berkeley. So Berkeley on that absolute crack of a drive there into 4th place. I just would not want to be Hobson right now.
Well, let's see who we'd want to be. Zachary Phelan comes across the start-finish line and we begin racing once more. And James Edens pressures him hard. Hard to the inside, though, goes Harry Stewart to try and get one up on Aaron Kelly, as now Brenton Hobson has lost out to Joel Berkeley coming down the back straight, as that's James Edens into the lead of the race with a big slide job on Zachary Phelan, and he's managed to pull it off. Could Joel Berkeley make this a Slick Sim Sports 1-2? I think we'll know the answer in a lap or so. Have a look at Berkeley to the inside.
Yeah, Berkeley again favouring Hobson.
Oh
Hobson stuck to the wall.
Yeah, and that is caution. Looks like Harry Stewart was involved in that too. Just caught Hobson when he got into the wall, and poor Bob King. I mean, 2 cautions in a row he's been involved in there, and that's going to be a retirement there for the number 2. Let's go to the VRS replay then and pick apart what happened there. Hobbo trying to run the wall up the top of the circuit, but just got into it a bit too much. You saw Berkeley there sliding up the circuit. Hobbo might have reacted to him there, But that just created a chain reaction, started when Harry Stewart hit him. Oh, and poor Bob King, he almost got it going again, but it looks like the car just tipped over on him.
Yeah, just some really unfortunate luck there for some of these drivers out here. We're just hearing through over the race control there. Hobbo also with an end-of-line penalty, but being at the end of the line anyways, not going to affect his race position too much. Very unfortunate at running as high as 3rd and 4th place.
Yes, indeed. That's massively bad luck for Brenton Hobson. Hearing something about Cameron Dance in the YouTube chat under caution, shooting us some messages while we're under caution. Cameron Dance, of course, running in 8th place at the moment in the number 6. I mean, there's been plenty of cautions so far, plenty of time for drivers to have a bit of a rest and get themselves reset for upcoming racing. Well, we're still not quite past the halfway point of the race yet, but we're still not quite in danger of reaching the 70-lap limit either.
Yeah, that's exactly right, Reese. We're just seeing a few of these cars now, especially down the back here, a few crab walking here from some earlier damage and incidents. So for a lot of these drivers, it's really going to be damage limitation there now for a few of them. Just having a look at car number 6 being Cameron Dance. So Dance actually having a little bit of luck here. He's managed to avoid a lot of these incidents. So it's a bit of a battle of attrition, you could say.
Yeah, it definitely has been a battle of attrition, and we might see a few more drop before the end because we're about to get our 5th restart of the night here in the feature. James Eden's going to get them away, but looks a bit like a bit of a concertina behind them. Joel Berkeley was very eager to get going and almost got into the back of Zachary Fellon to the inside. Berkeley, Kelly, and Edens all to the outside as Gosley and Harm try their best to protect from Harry Stewart, who's starting to come back at them, and Berkeley goes through on Zachary Fellon as, oh no, that's Josh Harm getting turned there by Cameron Dance, and fortunately they've all managed to keep going. We stay green.
Yeah, that wasn't a spin there, so yeah, very fortunate there. We would have had to go back to a caution. Just looking at James Rice here at the moment, bit of a quiet achiever at the moment. We haven't seen too much of him, but that's probably what you want. You don't want to be in the middle of the action. You just want some consistency. As we just heard a bit of a bump there on the wall. Not too sure who that was there. I think that might have been Josh Harm there collecting the wall, but he seems to be back underway, so not too much of a problem there, Reese.
Yes, indeed. And Berkeley managing to work his way past Fellon now. Zachary is starting to fall back into the clutches of Aaron Kelly in the green number 7. Look at that run. Aaron Kelly nailing the throttle, but it hasn't worked for him. It's just too slick down there on the inside. Got to be very careful with your throttle application in these things. Like all Speedway cars, like most of them anyway, they only have one forward gear. Got to be very careful not to get the revs too low. And to the inside, Aaron Kelly goes. Slick Sim Sports is now running 1-2 just up ahead there. You see them in the background of the image. And Joel Berkeley is starting to advance on James Edens. Could this be business as usual for the championship leader? And could he take another feature victory? Edens going to the extreme inside on the corner exit there. That is the fastest way around the circuit for him.
Yeah, Joel Berkeley very lucky to keep it off the wall there. But you can see Edens just maintaining that gap there. We just had a big crash there off in the back, so that's going to be another caution thrown for tonight. I think that might be 6 or so.
Yeah, Lumsden, Taylor, Jaden Russell involved in that as well. We're going to take a quick look at that, and it looks like Jaden Russell got himself into the wall once again as we go to the VRS replay. Russell just went a little bit too hard into turn 1. And you'll see the front tyres get hooked into the wall right there, and Cam Taylor has absolutely nowhere to go. And unfortunately, James Rice got away with it there in the number 5, but the number 96 there of Nathan Norman copped a fair whack too. The 55 of Max Lumsden also with nowhere to go.
Yeah, we just saw a few drivers there really quite lucky there to get through. We also saw Cameron Dance as well. very fortunate. His car seems to be made of potentially negative magnets or something like that. He seems to be really getting through without too much trouble, but you don't want to keep risking it as much as he has. But all eyes are going to be at the front there. James Eden and Joel Berkeley, both teammates there. You could see that they were both pretty matched for pace there. Eden keeping that gap to about 4/10 there, so he'll want to be really nail this restart to try and gap Berkeley there just behind him.
Yeah, Berkeley, once he gets into a rhythm, once he gets on pace, he's almost unstoppable. So what Edens needs to focus on if he wants this win is to try and get that gap out as far as he can, as soon as he can. And unclear as to whether or not we're staying with the single file restart. It looks like we are, actually. Restarts have not been changed back to double file. And considering the amount of incidents we've seen, I think that's probably for the best. But Slick Sim Sports are going to be right on this, giving each other a little bit of a bump behind the pace truck. Joel Berkeley giving his teammate a little bit of a hurry up here. And we're hearing there is going to be 14 laps to go when they cross the line next. And we will let you know when it is the final lap. So James Edens brings it home to the start-finish line. We are racing once again. 14 laps to go, and straight to the inside goes Edens, and taking advantage of the fresh clay on the extreme inside. That's exactly what he wants to do, and you see that he's gapped Berkeley as a result of that. But the fight continues behind. Zachary Fallon holding on to third place by the very tips of his fingers. He's got Aaron Kelly and Trent Gosley advancing on him. Can't forget about Harry Stewart and Josh Harm, two drivers who have been involved in incidents and are recovering. James Edens still holding on to the inside, but Joel Berkeley has gotten a slightly better exit. Cameron Tance going around the outside, we just saw. But Berkeley, it seems, on the verge of taking the lead here from his teammate, goes to the inside on the exit as they come round to begin the next lap. It's not going to happen this time between the Slick Sim Sport boys.
Yeah, this track really seems to be catching out a lot of drivers here at the moment. You can hear so many of them hitting the wall. In particular, Harry Stewart and Kelly both hit the wall a bunch of times here, so you don't want to run out too wide. They're running down the inside, so I can hear the sound of Harry Stewart hitting the wall again. So wanting to keep it closer to the inside here. You can see that car 007 of Josh Harm there right down the inside, making the most of that new clay.
Yes, indeed, and he seems pretty comfortable down there as there's a change for the lead. Joel Berkeley pulling the slider on his teammate James Edens, but they switch right back. And on the previous lap, Edens, as there's 10 to go now, 10 laps to go, James Edens was forced up very wide and almost got into the wall on the exit of turn 2. Pretty much doing what Joel Berkeley's doing at the moment, and a little bit of a wall hit there for the championship leader. This is not over by any means. Another lap completed. The number 9 and the number 52 facing off against each other for the win. There are now 9 laps to go. And Zachary Fallon is still holding on to that third place. You can see in the background, getting pressured massively by Aaron Kelly. And could this be a move up the inside for the big green machine? I don't think it is this time round. Edens and Berkeley controlling the pace with the Slick Sim Sports cars. Zachary Fallon getting a wheel up as he tries to get the exit done, and we briefly take a look at Trent Gosley and Josh Harm behind. They are fighting hard for positions 5 and 6, and there is Aaron Kelly almost through there on Zachary Fallon. Have a look at the crossover from Fallon back ahead into turns 1 and 2.
Yeah, such a quiet drive there by Trent Gosley there. Hasn't seen too much action there, but he's really putting it where it counts there as well. Just seeing our leading 2 there without not much to separate between them, only just over 0.3 of a second there at the moment. So, and we know how strong Berkeley is there, so it still could be anyone's race with approximately 7 laps to go there. We're just looking behind Aaron Kelly and Zachary Fallon, both pretty close there at around 0.3 as well.
Indeed, that's Aaron Kelly making his way past Zachary Fallon and into third place. 6 laps to go now as Felon tries to fire one up the inside. There's Cameron Dance and Harry Stewart and James Rice as well. The battle for the final few positions in the top 10. They have got Ryan Gorton just behind them as well. Very hard racing between these guys, and Harry Stewart all over the shop. He's trying to keep the momentum up, but Cameron Dance does the switchback on him, gets through. 5 laps to go. Up the front for our leaders. And Cameron Dance has just gotten into the wall, and he's almost cleaned up Ryan Gorton with him as well, but they both managed to keep going.
Oh, it looks like Dance might have been caught again, but managing to bounce off that wall again, so very, very lucky there not to get another caution for everyone. We seem to be spreading out a little bit now, and we can see Eden Birkeland over 2.5 seconds now to Aaron Kelly, so we've just had a car come into the pits there, so I'm not too sure what's going on there. Oh, that was Lumsden, so everyone seems to be pretty spaced out there now, so not too many battles to speak of. Probably, 3 laps to go there, so probably the biggest one between Felon and Josh Hartman.
Yeah, indeed, and I noticed that Joel Berkeley gave the wall a bit of a tap on a previous lap, so that's set him back in his battle with James Edens as Zach Felon tries to hold on to 4th here. Josh Harm getting on the charge, but across the line, it's going to be 2 laps to go now here for our leaders. James Edens protecting from Joel Berkeley, and it looks like the gap is big enough that Edens can afford to back off slightly. This is almost a fight here for 3rd that is 3 ways. Aaron Kelly, Zach Felon and Josh Harm, all of them right in there with them. It's going to be white flag for James Edens. What a drive this has been from the American, the World Championship competitor. He was threatening for victory at Cedar Lake. He was threatening for victory at every round, such was his pace, but it looks like it's finally going to all come together for the number 52. Big, deep exit for both of the Slick Sim Sport modifieds, but it's James Edens who is your victor tonight here at USA International Speedway, and it's another Slick Sim Sports 1-2 with championship leader Joel Berkeley taking 2nd. Aaron Kelly holds on for 3rd place. Another fine drive from him.
Yes, such a great effort by all 3 there. All 3 just having such a really good drive there, and Joel Berkeley having such really bad luck there at the start, but putting it together to really get maximum points here. You'd imagine with all the overtaking points as well as this round points, he'll actually do quite well out of this.
Yeah, I'd expect that Joel Berkeley will remain in the championship lead with the amount of passing points that he's gotten from there. Well, James Edens is going to be quite a happy chap in that number 52, finally getting that victory in this series that he'd been threatening to do from the start, and finally breaking the stranglehold that Joel Berkeley has had on the results in this series. And I got to say, quite respectful racing between the 2 Slick Sim Sports teammates. Yes, the first rule of motorsport is don't hit your teammate, but they managed to put on quite a show.
Yeah, and as well, they did a really good job there not to collect each other up as well. Giving each other plenty of space there, and some really great racing between the 2 of them.
Indeed. We're going to move through into driver interviews, though, because we already have joining us Aaron Kelly, our 3rd place man. Well, Aaron, what a great result for you there in the number 7. Certainly was started off on the back foot just outside the top 10 with the invert, but working your way back up, it was quite tough out there.
Yeah, I'm over the moon. I think it's probably my first podium. I think one of my first chances speaking to you guys. Been trying for a long time, but yeah, look, you win the heat and you get inverted. It's not fun, but the track, it was single file. You just had to be patient. You had to pick your moves, and if you picked wrong, it beat you in the bum. So yeah, that was a fun race.
Certainly looked like fun from the outside as well. Well, the amount of cautions that we saw, it did seem like drivers were having quite a bit of trouble getting used to the track, especially as it slicked up. Do you think that's something to do with the high speeds of this place?
It's the long straights. I mean, when you drive these things, they're so hard to control more in a straightaway than a corner, and especially taking off. And obviously USA, it's a fairly bumpy track down the straight. So I think the start was really messy. That's why I had to go single file, just because it wasn't really anyone's lack of driving ability. It was hard to control out there. It was tough to get off the start, but once you got rolling, you had more speed. Obviously, it was a lot smoother to run over.
Yeah, certainly was. Well, with a third place here tonight, your first podium in an ODSE broadcasted event. Certainly giving yourself a good look in the championship, and with passing points, the fact that you made your way back through to your original grid position, certainly something to be said about that.
Yeah, definitely. I actually completely forgot about passing points, so that's also a massive thing. But something about these big blocks, I've struggled a lot in the other classes in the year, but I think the big blocks, it's not as much set up. But I gotta say, massive thanks. This is actually my first race under, unofficially under SM Sim Sport. Brady's been helping me out since I've jumped back on the sim. I only up on once a week, and those guys over there have been real nice and to let me into their group and giving me the sets that have just been able to propel me forward. And finally, I managed to put a good result together.
Excellent stuff there, Aaron. Is there anyone else that you'd like to thank from SM Sim Sport? Any sponsors or anyone who gets it done for you?
Just a big thanks, obviously, to those guys back at SM Sim Sport, and obviously my sponsors that run the car, Raw Metal Corp, American Racing Tyres, Kush Clothing Co, and K1 Race Gear, and down in the graphics.
That's Aaron Kelly there. First time in the commentary box here with us. And a big congratulations once again on your podium. That was the number 7 of Aaron Kelly. Next up, we're going to go to Joel Berkeley for Slick Sim Sports. Joel, it's a little bit unusual here interviewing you for a second place finish.
Yeah, I guess I dug myself a hole in qualifying. I was too worried about eating pizza instead of getting a lap in, and I realised too late. And yeah, I went to get a lap in, and I crossed the line, and it was equal pole, but iRacing didn't want to like me and let me have the time. So yeah, and then I screwed it up in the heat race as well.
Yeah, it was a very tough night for you to get things started off. What exactly happened for you there in the heat race? Because it just seemed like the wall had magnets tuned specifically to your car.
Well, I hit the wall and it ripped the diff out of the car. So with these things, they're super easy to rip the diff out. So I ripped the diff out, and then it was just trying to control it, and that was a nightmare in itself. So, it is what it is. So, I mean, should have been better and not hit the wall, but these things happen. I mean, it's not the end of the world. I mean, we come back to second. I mean, would have been nice to get the win. I mean, we got to the lead, but I sort of threw it away. But yeah, it is what it is. Happy to walk away with what we did.
Yeah, and it's a really good result for Slick Sim Sports as well. It's another 1-2 for you guys with James Edens there taking the victory. So great stuff in terms of your team result.
Yeah, no, it's great for the team result. Like, I think we've almost had 2 cars on the podium every week. That's series has been happening. So yeah, it's good to have a good result, and I'm a bit bummed I let James win one, but well, sometimes these things got to happen. Got to let him get his confidence up.
Yeah, the victory duck had to be broken at some point. Well, Joel, next round is Limaland in 2 weeks' time. It's a very different track to this one, very tight and very slow. So obviously, quite a different style required for that.
Yeah, that sort of track's going to be more elbows up sort of racing, whereas tonight was sort of more just be smooth and consistent and get as much momentum as you can. But those sort of tracks, or Limeland's going to be really elbows up race, and looking forward to it. So should be good, and hopefully I'll be able to make the Cricket Boys race next week, but I'm not sure if I'll actually be able to.
Well, we shall see. Of course, the Cricky Boys shootout at the dirt track at Charlotte is going to be run this time next week. We'll see if we speak to Joel Berkeley at the end of that. Thanks for joining us, Joel.
Oh, I doubt you speak to me. I'm washed up in a sprint car now.
Oh, don't say that. We'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. Joel Berkeley there for Slick Sim Sports, finishing second here tonight. And final driver interview of the night. Finally, in the winner's circle in the Big Block Modified Series here at Oceanic Dirt Sim Events, James Edens, the number 52, crossing the line in first, mate. How does it feel?
Good. Finally had a week that went smoothly, and put it in victory lane.
Yeah, it was going to be a bit difficult with the invert though, starting just inside the top 10, and the way the race got started, it was caution after caution after caution. What was it like from your perspective? Just a case of trying to race as best as you can when the green flag flew?
Yeah, for sure. They wrecked once in front of me there, so we were just kind of, definitely lucky to get through that. It could have ended our night quickly. So, you just had to be patient and pick your spots off, and then survive the first couple of laps, and then work from there.
Well, once you did get into the lead, you had a good time controlling the race there from the front, but your teammate Joel Berkeley, working his way up from the very back of the grid, put some pressure on you in the final laps.
Yeah, I don't know what he does, but if he raced like that all the time, he would have a lot more success. But yeah, we had a good battle. I got in the wall once, and let him get the lead, and then he got in the wall a few laps later, and I got it back from him. So at that point we were just trying to who would make the least amount of mistakes would probably be in victory lane.
It seems that the roasting goes both ways. It's Slick Sim Sports. Speaking of the team, I asked the same question to Joel Berkeley. Another 1-2 finish. It seems like you guys have a nice hold on this series at the moment.
Yeah, I guess I got to take his setups away, so maybe I can win a little more. But yeah, we really enjoy these cars. They're really fun. We spent a fair amount of time when they came out putting in work on the setups, and they seem to be paying off. So
indeed. And one final question: can we expect you for the Cricky Boys shootout next week, or you taking a week off and coming back for Limaland?
I'll probably take a week off. I don't know yet, though. I'll have to see if there's still spots available or anything. We'll definitely look into it, but we'll definitely be back for Limaland.
Awesome, and we hope to be speaking to you again there. Before we let you go, James Edens, is there anyone that you would like to thank?
Yeah, I just gotta thank Speed Lab, Slick Sim Sport, Dominator Designs, K1 Race Gear, Race Electronics, HMS Motorsport. All our good sponsors and supporters.
James Edens in the number 52 for Slick Sim Sport, winner here at USA tonight, and a very fine victory indeed. Well, that brings to an end proceedings for tonight, but next week, in terms of dirt on SimSpeed TV, it's going to be a great one. We do have the Cricky Boys Shootout sprint cars at the dirt track at Charlotte. It's going to be myself on comms with Benny Bishop and Matt Nolte. They're going to be taking the lead role there on that night. Cannot wait for that night of racing to get off, and we hope that you will be able to join us for that. If you're interested in modifieds, though, the next time we're going to be racing these is at Limaland in 2 weeks' time. Very different track, very different arena, very different style of racing required. Nick, a great night of racing tonight. It was great to have you in the box, and I can't wait to see how the rest of this series unfolds.
Yes, so many strong drivers, but you got to absolutely hand it to Joel Berkeley. They're really putting the pressure on and coming all the way from the back. So, yeah, he'll definitely be the one to watch for the next few rounds coming up.
He certainly will. We thank you very much for watching. We want to give a big thanks to Racecraft Simulations for their sponsorship of this series. Big thanks to Brady Baldwin at Oceanic Dirt Sim Events for putting this whole thing on in the first place. And a big thanks to the drivers too for putting on quite the show here in Lakeland, Florida. I'm Reese Gardner. It was Nick Scarriev alongside me in the comms box, and Jay Kennedy on cameras making everything happen behind the scenes. From all of us here at SimSpeed TV, bye for now, but not forever. We'll see you at Charlotte next week for the Cricky Boys Shootout.
This is fantastic. This is GT racing right now. He's got traction. He's got everything outside of both of them. Maloney. Oh, he's taking Anderson. Anderson's up top. Oh my God. Oh, big crash. Oh my goodness. Half the field's going to get involved.
Second very close. These guys are want to make their way through the field very quickly. Oh, there we go. Oh no. That's massive. This is it. This is over. I can't believe this. Oh my God.
God, what?